Hey, welcome everyone to Wizards Outlook. We got Raymond Lyons here, Cardo Dudley Jr., Wilson Tarbett Jr., and Ray. We're going to start with you. We're going to kill some of the fluff at the beginning. The Sixers, big three, healthy tonight. You know, that's kind of been the issue for them is when they're actually all available. Unfortunately for Washington, they were actually available, and it powered them past the Wizards 131 to 110. I think Ray's frozen will get him back. Cardell, your thoughts on this game?
Too much Embiid, man. Just let's just call it what it is. It's too much Embiid. We said at the beginning of the show they had to find a way to take something away from Tyrese Maxey. Either gonna let him score or you're gonna let him facilitate. Now, to their credit, they held him 9 points below his scoring average, but he still got 8 assists, 2 turnovers, 9 to 15. It was pretty much he didn't reach his averages outside of scoring wise, but he was still hella efficient outside. He didn't make. He was still hella efficient, man. He shot 60-40 from the field, shooting splits. You gotta kind of slow him down to dictate everything. And then, Embiid was just a load inside 28 and 7, 10 or 14 from the field. He didn't feel anybody. And then Paul George, man, Paul George was like old Paul George tonight, 23 points, 7 of 11. It was just too many. It was just too much efficiency from Philly. They got whatever they wanted for the most part, and they scored at will. Um, give the Wizards credit; they competed for most of the game, but as the second half wore on, you could just tell fatigue from after playing last night. It kind of caught up, and then let's just call it what it is. The workload of tonight, having to deal with this much firepower, it wore them down, and then they faded, and then Philly kind of just took them out that misery. Um, look, the Wizards have a lot of wing depth, a lot of guard depth playing inside. They're thin. SAR's playing great. Marvin Bagley has even elevated his game on the bench, but they're not, super strong, brolic type bigs, man. Embiid is a load. That's 280 by himself. And then you got to deal with Drummond coming off the bench. You know what I mean? That size matters in the league, man, in sports in general, but definitely in the league. And you saw wearing them down as the game went along because they was battling them. Trey was rumbling, man. He almost nearly matched Maxey with his production, but ultimately, man, the inside play, the inside play and the efficiency from everybody for the most part on those Sixers just wore those guys down. And like to think about it, Washington actually won points in the paint with Embiid doing what he did, like 52-48, which is crazy. But along with the efficiency and how they executed Washington's turnovers, 22 turnovers led to 25 Philadelphia points. That's hard to overcome. That's just and 13 of those came in the second half, and Philly scored 16 points off of them. That's just you can't beat yourself if you try to beat a good veteran team, and they did, and that's why they lost the game.
Right. What I was saying to you, that your back was just that the big three was healthy. Your thoughts on this one? You know what Cardell said. And then after that, we'll get into a bit of breaking news for you guys that has something to do with the Wizards. But go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, I agree, man. I just think they got worn out over the game with with Embiid attacking them inside. It's kind of like you see a football team with a good running game. They just keep pounding, and then in the fourth quarter, the other team kind of fades. That's kind of what happened here. Um, the main guys set the tone, and then the reserves came in and finished them off. Like the Sixers scored 39 points in the fourth quarter, 32 was off the bench, and like the game was within reach at one point, but yeah, the reserves just blew it open. I think the Wizards just kind of ran out of gas. But yeah, man, like kudos to Philly. They showed up. Their guys did their thing. Like Embiid 10 for 14, like that's just he out there playing by himself. Um, so yeah, they definitely got to address that. But like I said, man, size is size. You really can't do nothing about it. So yeah, and the turnovers were crucial. Again, could be effects of feeling the effects of a back-to-back, but that's part of the NBA. You gotta figure that out and fight through it. But yeah, Philly was just they was just clicking all cylinders tonight.
Yeah, like you guys said, you can't. Cardo laid everything out. You couldn't turn the ball over. Yeah, Washington does play faster, but the danger with playing fast is when you don't take care of the ball. Other teams able to eat in transition. We've seen that all year with Washington and Cardo. Like you said, like I know people love evolution. You can keep saying it, man. 280 is 280. Right? Like 280 is 280. Both of those gentlemen weigh 280. That's listed. And that's if we're saying they're exactly 280. And we know with Joel, could be more. Same with Drummond. We don't know for sure. But either way, that's a whole lot to be dealing with. There's not a break, as you guys said. But yeah, Cardell, you talk about the efficiency. You saw both Paul and Joel just kind of take their time and score. They took their sweet time. Yeah, they slowed Maxey down, and everybody else had fun. Quentin Grimes had another good game against Washington. But we'll get into this news in just a second. Player of the game for you guys? You're on mute, Cardell.
Embiid, just for me, just dominant.
No argument there. So you guys both had Embiid. Who'd you guys have for X Factor?
PG. I'm gonna give it to PG. 23-5-4. Had a throwback performance in a sense. His efficiency, how he helped control the game, being a secondary playmaker, and scoring the ball and defensively. You know what I mean? He was a plus 25 tonight. Enough said.
Yeah, he was definitely taking advantage of some of those second chance opportunities from beyond the arc, and it was easy work in the post when he had guards on him. All right, so this breaking news. For rumblings, obviously everyone's seen the rumblings. Officially happened literally while we started doing this, so like maybe 5 minutes ago. Shams reported that the Atlanta Hawks are trading four-time NBA All-Star Trae Young to the Washington Wizards for C.J. McCollum, Corey Kispert, sources tell ESPN. So again, you guys, we've already spoke about this a little bit privately, and when the rumors and rumblings have started. That said, now that it is official, and we saw CJ, the Wizards without CJ and Corey tonight, and Corey was a really late scratch tonight, which usually means some type of impending trade around NBA for a little bit. But Ray, we'll start with you and then Cardell. Your thoughts on the Washington Wizards landing four-time NBA All-Star Trae Young?
Yeah, I think he was just in a place where he wanted to get out of where he was and then go to a place where he could pretty much audition for another big deal. Yeah, I don't really think I don't think any team feels like they're moving the needle with this move. Might be a little case of addition by subtraction on the Atlanta side. Being perfectly honest, they tried to do it with Trae. Had some success early on. Things have been rocky as of late. They got young guys ascending, and they pretty much see an opportunity to change course. That's pretty much how I see it from that end. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got at this point.
Cardell?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm just gonna say salute to CJ McCollum, who's the ultimate professional, produced, really got it. The guys was a good example as a vet for the young guys to learn how to be a professional in this league. And I think his impact will be felt with a lot of these young guys for years to come as they progress into what they will ultimately become in the league, man. Did some great things in the short stint, especially during this winning period over the last few weeks. He hit some big shots, been leading, been defending. And tip my hat off to CJ because he could have easily came in here just been a cancer and crying like we've seen a lot of vets across the league do over the years about time covering the league, and they come around and just complain and about the situation instead of understanding you do have the power to possibly change the situation if you're that. And you know, you know what I mean. And he didn't do none of that. He just hooped. At least publicly. Now, I don't know behind the scenes, but I doubt it publicly because you could just, even though they weren't winning, we've been around the Wizards where they weren't winning and it was ugly. You could just feel the toxic energy around. It wasn't like that. It was just you feel like it's just young guys that need to learn. And he was very patient, very open to helping guys, with whatever they needed, man. And he was just a hell of a vet. And that's what's missing in the league today. You need guys like him that can really show these youngins what it takes to be a pro. So I tip my hat off to him, and I hope these youngins impart the lessons that he brought to them. Now, as far as that addition of Trae Young, look, man, we know he's dynamic offensively. Shoot, ultimate playmaker. But I don't think this moved the needle for the Wizards. I know the Wizards senior vice president and player personnel, Travis Schlenk, drafting him in Atlanta. So that's where the relationship is with the Wizards and all that. My viewpoint is we'll see. You know what I mean? The bottom line for Trae is, he's been in the league, this is 8th season. Been in the league 8 years. You got to change something or add something, and specifically on the defensive end. You got to bring that. You got to bring it. It is what it is. You can't expect to play the same style and think that will work. And especially with this team, because you got a lot of other, unless more moves are being planned that we don't know about, you got a bunch of young guards and wings that frankly could do what you do. Maybe not as good as you. Maybe they're not as good as three-point shooter, good as a playmaker, or definitely don't have the experience, but they could do similar things. But they can also impact the defensive end. So my thing is, how will his addition stunt the youngest growth in the back, specifically in the backcourt, like with Trae above and all those guys, man. It's a lot that remains to be seen. That's what my take is on it. We'll see. Look, Trae's a talent, all-star caliber player, but he got some things to prove. His just being honest, and it's no knock, just being, we tell it like it is on the show. He got a lot of things to prove, and he got a lot of things to prove, man. He got proven he's willing to do whatever it takes to win, and that's first and foremost. And if he's willing to do that, cool. Our area, our area going to embrace you if you come with that. That's why I like CJ, short stint with the Wizards. But won't nobody have nothing bad to say about him, because he came in, he produced, he did his job. He played hard, didn't complain. Like I said, salute to him. And that's how our area get down. Like, if you come in here, produce, and do your job, got no problems with you. So we're gonna see what Trae brings, man. Like, he gets a breath of fresh air, in a sense, from with a new start. It's a lot of things we just gotta pay attention to and see how it unfolds, man. Because I don't really see how this moves the needle. Now, maybe if you get him, you might be able to attract some free agents that may want to come play with him. Maybe that's what they're targeting. We'll see. But how does that stunt or help the development of the young core that you were building? You know what I mean? So, like I said, man, we're gonna see Trae's in his prime. Like, he's 27, headed to 28. Next few years is now on the level for him. Meanwhile, you got young core that's in their early 20s. Like, the timeline's just, yeah, like I keep saying, man, it goes back to, it's a lot of things we got to wait and see, man. So I'm not going to get too excited, but I'm also not going to get too low, because who knows, man. He can come in and just go on to work, and it just flows, and we've seen that happen. And, yeah, the Wizards take off from there, but, we'll wait and see, man. I know I will.
Yeah, I'm right with you guys. I'll go back to obviously not quite the same thing. And I'm gonna preface that several times. I'm not saying they're the same player remotely. I'm not saying they're the same player, but similar to when we talk about when they had Jordan Poole here, Jordan Poole was heading over. It's a huge opportunity for Trey, and we'll see what he does with it. yeah, obviously more accomplished than Jordan in a sense, individual with the for all stars. Jordan had the team accomplishment in terms of was on a championship winning team, played a role in the team winning the championship. That said, like you said, he's in his prime. I'm also interested to see how they balance the timelines. If it's really he's coming here and it's time to go. Uh, then also the other thing that I hope he gets is it's all eyes on you too. Like this is not something like you're not 22, 23 coming over here, 27, 28, coming off a team that just kind of jettisoned you, moved on. It's Jalen Johnson's timeline over there. Um, that's where they're headed. So Cardell might with you, Ray as well. There's a lot to prove, and we'll see how things play out. But again, I will say this again: it's a huge opportunity for him because there is a world where you can come in here, you do produce, you do take care of some of those things that we worry about on the floor. You take care of those things, or at least try to fix some of those things, alleviate some of those things, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm unmoved at the moment. Because I just hope it's not one of those things where we look back and this ends up being something that might have stunted this group going forward instead of, I know everybody's always excited when a move's made. Um, nah, we'll see what ends up happening. No, we got a comment. I hope he come here locked in to fix his image.
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect, right? I mean, image, that's for other things, man. I think I speak for the DMV in general on watching the Wizards, man. We just want to see some winning, some stability, though. Like, that's it. We don't, I can care about your image, man. That's for your PR, your publicists, your peoples to get you some endorsement deals and stuff like that. That's what them to worry about. At the bottom line is what you do on the court will dictate everything. And again, start with playing some defense. He literally is having his worst career defensively. His defensive rating is a 120. And he's coming to a team that's a bad defensive team. Certain players are good defensively, Sar, Koulibaly, and all that, but as a whole, they're not that good. How are you going to improve that? How are you going to improve that aspect of the team? When that's a glaring weakness for you, and if that's a glaring weakness for the guy you traded for, and keep in mind, I've read the details. Maybe they haven't came out. I didn't see any picks included with that. It's just Kispert and McCollum for trade. You ain't get no picks for that. None of my business. It ain't my thing.
I keep refreshing to wait to see if there's picks attached to it too, and then it looks like it's just salary matched up.
That's wild, but neither here nor there. I like I said, for the Wizards, for things to move for the Wizards, you got get somebody with Trey's offensive capabilities, but you also need somebody that can hold it down on the defensive end, man. Because in the East, look what you got to deal with. You got to deal with Jalen Brunson. You got to deal with Cade Cunningham. You got to deal with Tyrese Maxey, who you couldn't deal with tonight. You got to deal with Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and when Tatum returns. Those are 14. You got to deal with LaMelo if they ever grow up. You got Bam and all those guys down there, Tyler Hero and all those guys down there in Miami. When Tyrese gets back, Indiana, Donovan Mitchell, we all saw what he did. I'm like, what he does. So, like, come on, man. It's just there's too many lethal guards on the perimeter that you're gonna have to slow down if you want to really make noise, not just to get to the playoffs, but to do damage in the playoffs. It's no getting around that, man. He got to take that end of the floor personal, man, and making a bunch of threes and getting some highlight reel assists ain't gonna move that. If the final score is the Wizards are down and it's another L, just being real, man. Like we've just kind of seen this story with the Wizards franchise, the Bullets franchise, all in all throughout history, man. Like when they traded Weber and all that for Mitch Richmond, and there's no knock to Mitch Richmond. He was a dog, like he could go. But that was C. Webb in his prime, and it took the Wizards a long time to try to get back to relevance after that. Meanwhile, C. Webb go to Sacramento. We all know the run they went on with Bibby and Doug Christie and them boys, Divock and Mike Bibby when he got traded for Jason Williams. You just man. You know, we look we're gonna see, but we've seen this franchise kind of go all in with going hard for a certain free agent that just didn't move the needle or wasn't the right time or didn't fit where the current team was. And it took them a long time to recover, man. And I felt like they were building something with this young core. Now, if you're going to make the move to break up, I know Kispert, the young core is still there because Kispert was part of that, but we knew one of the wings was going to go. CJ brought a lot of value, fine. Overall, the main young core is still there. Cool. But how does that fit with Trey when most of your young core are guards and wings and they're playmaking guards and wings that need the ball? You feel what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't, unless you got plans to move some of them.
And that's the part, which is why, like, again, I agree with you. I just wait and see. Like, yes, I think everybody agrees. Like, yes, offensively, there's obviously a bunch of good. Trey Young coming to the team does, but again, in regards to everything that's here, big picture wise, how does everything fit? It's not some like, oh, it's a trade and seamless fit. It's rare that anytime anybody gets traded that the fits are seamless. So, you know, we'll see.
Yeah,
We
bro.
will.
Hello, man. Hey, man. We seen too many. We've seen too much with this franchise, man. It's just man. You know, I can go back to when we were kids, and you had Jawan Howard, Ben Wallace, C. Webb on the team with Rod Strickland, dog, and then and they didn't even get time. They didn't even get time to jail. Then they go elsewhere, even Rip. You know, Jerry Stackhouse was a dog, but Rip was a young stud coming into his own. Trey Young Rip to Detroit for Stack. Rip becomes the cornerstone of a champion. I remember though that Pistons team was joking like, "Yeah, we need Detroit Wizards, dog." You know, because there's so many former Wizards players. Ben, Rip, that
Those three are pivotal pieces to that run. You can't tell that run to them without those three. And they all came from.
and they were all drafted damn near close to each other. And I just feel like sometimes, man, you know, franchises aren't patient enough. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, bro. Like, I'm just keeping it real, man. Look, I'm from here. You know, like I'm not. It's not just us. We from here. We know what the vibes are. So for us, I think I speak for a lot of people in the area. It's like Trey come. Unless you're a big Trey Young fan, and there's no knocking against Trey, we know he can hoop, man. But he got to improve some things to really move that needle, man. It ain't enough to just come here and put up points and assists, man. They ain't gonna move. It's just, did we win or not? That's how people gonna view it. The fans gonna view it. Did we win? All right. You see what I'm saying? Like we saw John Wall get 20 and 10, but they weren't winning. They was getting to the playoffs. They was rumbling. They was in the mix. You can get behind that. Saw Rod Strickland do all that. We saw Gil do that, you know, get behind it, even with all the craziness off the court that's been coming out ever since. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We get it. But wins were following. They was getting in the playoffs. They was rumbling. They was getting to the second round. They was, you know, they was in the mix. Until that happens, you know, a lot of people around here don't want to hear about, you know, Trey or anybody in 25 and 10 or something like that. Like, did you win, man? All right, what are we talking about?
And that, again, just that's all the stuff that's weighing on them coming here. That's part of it because as of right now, the highest paid players upon that trade being completed, the highest paid player over here, both this year and next year. And like you said, the precedence for the guys before him. And again, well, another discussion for another day. That no, as pick happy as people have been in the last couple of years, and he's not a pick, and this deal is crazy. But we'll see how things turn out. Obviously, we'll check in with you guys several more times, and maybe in a week we'll have a conversation what his first week looks like here, what have you. But the bottom line is the other thing that happens when teams do this that are rebuilding, you bring in like a vet or not even a vet, somebody that's kind of in their prime, expectations tend to change a little bit. To Cardell's point, when outside, like that changes too.
So if it does change, what do y'all feel like the expectation are now?
I mean, I realistically, you can't expect like a complete 180 turnaround immediately, but it should be some improvement, especially with the way they've been playing recently. Like if he come in and all the momentum is stalled, then that's gonna look real bad. Like I get it, it's a new team, you gotta figure it out, you gotta fit in, you gotta gel, but you know, you are all-star caliber player. Like you should be able to come in and still have a positive effect immediately. So that's what I'm looking at. Like continue to build on what they've been doing over the past 11 games or so, because they've been taking some steps. So yeah, that just can't go by the wayside. Now we're adding this new piece.
Yeah, for me is obviously no grand expectation, anything like that, but some of the things that like it's some of the things that happen. I feel like you can't control. Obviously, you're a four-time All Star at the one, right? The turnovers should lessen a little bit. I think it's fair for us to expect you to have control of the game, more so than the young guards have. I think that's within realm. Um, the thing is it's not gonna lie, man. Like obviously, you're not gonna rip off 15 game win streak, anything like that, but more wins. Like you can't. This ain't. It can't be this up and down stuff like this, and you be who you are being here. Like both of those, like those, that can't continue the same or
I,
shouldn't.
yeah, I just like I said, I just don't know. Again, for where they are now, we don't know if it's more moves that they're planning to make. We don't know. Um, but again, like I expect offensively, he's going to come in, and once he gets a feel for what they can do, that's going to take a little time. His specialty is hitting deep range shots, floaters, getting in paint, living in the paint, and making plays. So, somebody like Sar or Bagley, they're going to get easy shots. Bilal might score a few points in transition stuff because Trey will find him. You know what I mean? His main problem is on the other side, though. That's the thing. Like, if he just, I ain't saying be Gary Payton, man. I ain't saying be a Lou Dort or something, bro. But, like, look, CJ in his late thirds at the mileage he has, his defensive rating this season was a 125, which is bad. But, again, he's guarding all-world guards at his age and stuff like that. And I get it. And they switched a lot of stuff and that's the other thing. They switch a lot. So when they switch and stuff like that, that's gonna have to change because now you're putting Trey in a position where he can get picked on, and you're now already not a good defensive team. So fine. But Trey is a 120 at 27. You see what I'm saying? Like this is the worst. And you're small. Like at least CJ 6'3", 6'4" can contest shots and stuff like that. Trey, like you know what I mean? And I'm not trying to pick on that, but we know what this is going to be. Like Trey he can get you 30 and 10. We know that. But he can also get that up. So, and again, they saying, I saw the comment where he was like, I hope they don't stunt Bub and Trey and all those guys' development. But if they're going to remain here, how can he not? He has to have the ball in his hands.
Mm-hmm.
Rightfully so. He's a wizard with the rock. He can score that thing. He can make plays, and he got the experience that Bub and those guys and the accolades and credentials that they just don't have yet. So yes, but how they gonna get it if the ball's in his hands? You see what I'm saying? Like it's just, yeah, man. It's a lot of we gonna see. We got to see. That's what I'm saying.
There's a lot of like we need data. All right, so we need games. We need to see what's going to it's man, there's a lot to be answered. But again, that's the move that was made tonight. Um, interested to see how quickly he ends up playing. Whether it's gonna be Friday or they'll get going during this upcoming road trip. I think they're out west next week. Where we'll see him more on a regular basis. But yeah, did you guys have any more words to put to the trade? I know I don't. I think that's all I have for a couple days. I'm very much like you guys said. I'm full team wait and see. But yeah, as of right now, it looks like everyone's coming to that general consensus. No picks as part of this deal. So it was Trey Young for Corey Kispert and CJ McCollum. But for Washington, so the Sixers tonight, 131, 110. We'll see you guys Friday night when they host the Pelicans, I believe.